The Andes mountain range is the longest continental mountain range in the world, and it spreads about 4,500 miles through South America. Some of the highest peaks there, over 20,000 feet, some up to 24,000 feet. It's a wild, amazing, and desolate place. And in 1972, those of you who were alive then, a plane crashed in the Andes carrying a small 35 people, part of which were a soccer team from Uruguay, some of their friends and family and all that, and they crashed in the Andes. Some of them survived the crash. The search crews gave up looking for them after about 8 days because, there's nobody can survive in this environment much longer than that. So they gave up. Those that were left made their way back, found this. It took them 72 days in the Andes. Less than half of those that survived the crash survived that much longer. And they only did so because they ended up eating the deceased bodies. That's how they survived there. So we had this crazy idea a couple months ago. I'm gonna take a group of people into the Andes for 8 days and do a trek. Yeah, we can do this shit. We were trekking, our plan was to be trekking mostly at above 14,000 up to almost 17,000 feet at points. And if those of you have been at altitude like this before, you know it's incredibly hard to breathe. You've got 60% of the oxygen that you have here, number one. You're climbing steep every day. It's so hard to just breathe, much less climb or pee. I found to be very hard. And the onset of acute mountain sickness, AMS, can come on quickly, and most people get some level of it. Acute mountain sickness means you are dizzy, you can't breathe, you're vomiting, you have nausea, you can't sleep, you can't pretty much do anything. Doesn't that sound fun? You guys want to go?
Let's do it.
So, I've been at this altitude before, and I've trekked at this altitude before, and I was, it's hard, but it wasn't that, I didn't have any of the mountain sickness symptoms. So I thought, I got this. My group's got this. We can do this. We even had emergency horses, 3 of them, that we brought along just in case, you get, something happens. So we started at 9,000 feet. Our first day, we start climbing 10,000, 11,000, 12,000, 13,000, and I'm going, something's different. My body feels different this time. Yeah. Something felt very different. Some of the others in our group had already enlisted the help of the emergency horses because it was like, nope, can't do. Even at night, trying to sleep, oh man, the body sensations are coming back to me. Sleeping in my tent at night, my heart rate, I'm checking it on my watch all the time, going, I'm at 140, trying to sleep. My heart rate. It's all I could do to crawl out of my sleeping bag to go outside and try to pee, which didn't happen easily, and it really took a while, and you're on your knees like, okay, come on, do this. And then crawl back in, hopefully, to the right sleeping bag, because you're all delirious. You're like... It was hard. It was unexpectedly hard. By day 5, we had an extremely hard climb to a summit pass that was almost at 17,000 feet. And as I was taking literally barely one step, stop, next step, stop, getting up to this peak, it occurred to me, I could die here. In fact, I have a pretty good sense that I might die here. And I thought, this would be a freaking amazing place to die. It is so beautiful. I've never felt so close to God in my life. This place blew us away. And I started to process in my mind what I would do. Like, okay, so if I die, they could burn my body up here, have like a cool little ceremony, spread my ashes into the wind, Nico could play the flute. I'm like, no, wait a minute, that's stupid. Claire can't come home without my body. She'd be in totally big trouble. Like, what is she going to tell everybody? I left him in the Andes. He's blowing in the wind, So I'm processing all this, and I'm like, no, okay, really, I die. They throw my dead body over the back of a donkey, have to haul it back for 4 days. I'm bouncing on the back. I might fall off. Like, that would just suck for them. I can't put Claire and Nico through that. No way. I decided I'm going to live. Obviously, I did, right? But I don't know. I felt like my heart was blowing up. It was going to explode in my chest. I don't know how close I was to death because I've never been there. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here to tell you about it, right? To me, I felt like this is what it feels like to be close to death. And I'm going to die here if I don't. By day 6, so we came to this pass, Salcantay. I'll show you another picture. So Salcantay Pass, Salcantay Mountain is one of the most sacred in Peru in the Andes. It's over 20,000, 22,000 feet, I think it is. And as I came up over this pass at almost 17,000 feet, there in front of me was this beautiful Salcantay Mountain spread out over the valley, welcoming me with a smile, a snow-capped smile. And I literally fell to my knees and broke out into tears and cried like a baby. I mean, I had never seen or felt anything so amazing in my life, and so grateful that I didn't die getting up to this peak. Off in the distance, we could see we still had miles to go before our camp, and that wasn't encouraging at that point. But at least it was mostly downhill from there to the next camp anyway. By day 6, I couldn't take another step uphill, and my companions said, "You're getting on a horse." So they called over Sarah, my donkey, my mule, actually, and I got on Sarah, and I was humbled. I was humbled because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do what I thought I could do. I'd asked for help. And I had to rely on a donkey. I love that donkey now. Mule, sorry, Sarah, mule. I'll show you a picture of her. I got a picture of her. And I had to rely on Pachamama, the spirit of God of the Andes that held me, gave me the will and the power and the desire to go on. It was a humbling experience. I'll share just a few images with you guys. This is our little intrepid group of travelers. This is on the very first day, so we can see we're still all in a pretty good mood here. The Sun Gate in the background. We had just come up from Ollantaytambo, maybe 10,000 feet or something at this point. And as we continued on over the following days, we'd pass amazing vistas. We were not on the traditional Inca trail that some of you have heard of. We were on a unique one that was known mostly just to the locals, so there was nobody on this trail. There was no help available. The only way out was the way in, and there was no helicopters, no safety, anything. So once we were in there 4 days, we were 4 days from anything. glacier pools, mountain passes that even though you're already out of breath, it takes your breath away, which kind of sucks. Like, damn, I'm already out of breath, and now I gotta go, wow. Look at this view. As we came over Salcantay, came into view in the valley ahead of us, that beautiful, beautiful peak, holy peak. And we sat there and cried, amazed that I was still alive. We would hike down that valley in the front there. You can see the valley in front of us. Eventually going right to the base and touching the glacier of Salcantay, drinking the glacier water, and then circle around the back of it to our final destination. This is one of our camps at sunset with Salcantay in the distance there. And the next morning, sunrise on beautiful Salcantay. Oh, and here's my Sara, my life-saving mule. Woo! Her fur was so soft. I was amazed. I spent a lot of time just like this. I love you, I love you, I love you. Hunched over, just like, oh, I love you. It's amazing how you can bond with a creature like that, who maybe doesn't even know that they're saving your life. They're just doing their thing, you know? So beautiful. They might know. They might know. She knew. She was very kind to me. As we got to the base of Salcantay, one of our guides, Washi and Nico, brought their flutes, their Peruvian flutes, and they would play and lift our spirits as we would come to the end of these long trails, just, and then there they were playing this beautiful music. It just gave us the energy to continue. That's at the base of Salcantay, a glacier pool. So why do we take pilgrimages? Why would you want to take a pilgrimage? This is a pilgrimage for me. Pilgrimages have been done since before recorded time, and I don't even know how they know they were done before recorded time if time wasn't actually recorded, but that's what the history books say, right? Pilgrimages are in all religious texts. They're in all the stories. Everybody throughout time has thought about or has done some sort of pilgrimage. Maybe some of you here have done a pilgrimage. Has anybody here done a pilgrimage of sorts somewhere, somehow? And pilgrimages don't have to be life-threatening, push you to the extreme experiences. But they should be, I think, I've come to believe, they should be challenging for us. They should take us out of our comfort zone. They should be hard, even if that pilgrimage is staying at home. Maybe you want to do something uncomfortable, like go camping by yourself, just right here in Central Oregon for a couple nights. Something you've never done. That could be your pilgrimage. But the important thing about pilgrimages is it has to be challenging. You have to get yourself out of your daily routine so that your mind can focus on connecting with God, on yourself, and for a lot of people, relationships with other people that you travel with. I've talked to a few of you here who have done the Camino de Santiago. Has anybody here done that particular journey or parts of it? I know Dennis. I talked to Dennis. He's one that's done, I think, all of it. 500 miles over a month. Only 5,000 feet, so I'm not worried about that one. I'll go do that next. Maybe next week, I don't know. But a pilgrimage is an important process for us all to go through. And I have had these little incremental growths in spiritual experience over the years. Different things can happen, and you feel like a little, I've been uplifted. I'm now at another level thing. But nothing has ever pushed me to grow as much as this experience. Like I said, I felt as close to death as I've ever felt, and as close to God as I've ever felt. And I had quite an epiphany. And as I've been processing it since I've returned, I sort of put it into a simple process that explains what I think is happening to me and what I think is important if anybody has a pilgrimage or decides to do a pilgrimage. These are kind of the steps. Okay? We'll go back to the practical here for a minute. So number one is you have to plan the experience. This is my nice little acronym, EPIC. You like that? EPIC. The experience. You need to plan something that gets you out of your comfort zone, out of your daily routine, into a space where you can be intentional and present. 100%. I think you need to challenge yourself a little bit. I think you need to be uncomfortable a little bit. That doesn't sound exciting to some of you, I know. But being born hurts. Ask anyone who's been a baby. Second part of that is the process, processing what you've experienced to be able to share it with like-minded people in a compassionate space. And fortunately, when I got back from this trek here, I went straight to a seminary retreat in New York City. 2 days after I returned, hopped on the plane, went to New York. I did a week-long seminary retreat with my seminary class, and it was the perfect space to just open and share and connect with people and to process what I experienced in a very, very safe environment. And I think that's really important, that if you have an experience like this, you need to process it with somebody safe who's genuinely interested in hearing, supporting you, listening. That was the perfect space for me. And then there's the integration part. How do you make this actually part of your daily life? If you don't do this, your pilgrimage is wasted, other than you probably had a really cool time, or in our case, a hard time. The integration for me, the realization that I had after this experience was that I was going to let go of all the things that didn't matter in my life. I had this intense desire to just connect with people, to spend time with people. I came home and I started calling my old friends. I spent literally hours, you can ask Claire, I was on the phone for hours a day calling people, talking to people, having conversations. Some I would share the experience, some I didn't even tell them about it. I just want to know what's going on in your life. Let's talk. My desire to be with people, to love people, was all I could think about. And all the little petty things that were bothering me before just didn't seem important anymore. And I decided I'm going to let some of those go, and I have. And the last piece of that is the keep. You know how you have a wonderful dream, and you wake up, and you're like, oh, that was such a good dream. Oh, I want to keep that one. I want to keep that one. And you're trying to remember it. Then you get up, you brush your teeth, and you make breakfast, and all of a sudden you're like, what was that dream I just had? It was so good. Why? I can't remember it. And that's kind of what it feels like sometimes, you know. We have these peak experiences, and then we're excited, and we want to change, and then we sort of forget about them. They kind of fade away, and it doesn't stick with you the rest of your life. I want it to stick with me the rest of my damn life. This experience was that powerful to me. And there's ways to do that. Journaling, not only after the experience, but journaling daily or on a regular basis. Just tell the story again. The reason that our ancestors told stories throughout history is just to remember them, to bring them back. Tell the story to your friends. Tell the story to others. One of the reasons I decided to share it with you guys was to solidify that story for me, to make it real part of my life. And the last thing I did was to put reminders, and this is an important piece, to put reminders in your field of daily view to bring you back to that space that you were in. So for me, I actually put a screensaver of all my Peru pictures on my TV set. So now every day I'm walking through the house, when the TV's not on with HD TV, it has Peru, the Andes. And I walk through the house and I start crying on a daily basis just looking at those pictures on the TV. That's my daily review. One of the most powerful things that I realized or learned from this trip was the amount of presence, the amount of intention it took to just not only breathe, but everything was stripped away. Like, I can't remember thinking about anything back home when I was up there other than breathe, survive, and try to sleep and pee. It required intense presence. And you don't have to go through these extremes to have that presence or appreciation for life. And in fact, I'd like to do a little exercise with y'all. You up for it? The great late Thich Nhat Hanh, Buddhist monk, had a practice that he would do at some of his retreats and such. And I want us to do it together. And it's very quick. It's simple. All it requires is you to partner up. It could be your life partner. It could be anybody. You just need to partner up with somebody. You can actually, if you do this with your partner, it can be really nice too. But total stranger is fine. I promise this is easy, and it's important that everybody try this. Don't be by yourself on this one. But if you can't, if there's just not an odd number of people, you can close your eyes and imagine this practice. Now, as you're looking at each other, I'm going to give you some instructions and a few simple lines to say. And you have permission now to look in their eyes. It doesn't need to be awkward. And as you gaze into their eyes, I want you think about who's going to go first. Decide who's going to go first. We're both going to do this. Choose somebody to go first. I want you to gaze in their eyes and try to see somebody different. Not who you know, not what you expect. Try to just see who they really are. And then repeat these words after me. You ready? Hold them in your heart. I am going to die. You are going to die. We have just these precious moments together. Let us embrace them. Okay? Let us embrace them. And just take a moment to pause and take that in. Now I want you to switch. You ready? Let's go. My friend, I am going to die. I know you are going to die. We have just these precious moments together. Let us embrace it. And take a moment in silence just to process. What if you got up every morning with your partner and did that exercise? What if you could do that with your best friends, your family, on a regular basis? Do you think maybe your day would start a little different, that you might go about your day a little different? Yeah, I think so. So when we got back from our big trek, all survived, I went to the doctor to get checked out and found out that I have a high level of calcification in my arteries in my heart, putting me in a category of very high risk for heart attack. Which makes it more of a miracle that I didn't have one, and all the more grateful that I didn't have one. It's brought me a new appreciation for life and living, and affirmed what I felt, which is my only job here is to love all of you. That's all. That's all I want to do. I don't care about anything else. And we all come to this place, Unity, here, for two reasons, basically. For community and for spiritual growth. And together, we're building community, right? We're building this amazing community together. But our spiritual growth can only be done by you, yourself. Nothing I can do or say is going to change that. You have to make the effort, take the steps. So what path are you going to choose to create for your next precious steps in your life? What are you going to choose to do for your next precious steps? You know, I've only had a few experiences in my life that have moved me to this extent, this magnitude. And the first was putting my hands to greet the tiny little heads of my sons as they came into the world, and then holding the frail hands of my parents as they left the world. And this experience where I was brought to my knees in awe of Pachamama, of life, of beauty. Nothing comes close to those experiences in my life. Maybe a pilgrimage is in your future. And I know I'll be doing a lot more. That's Nico. Yeah. Thank you.